Hello and welcome back again, Coffee Beans. This is General Engineering. Definition of terms. Part 2. Faucet Aerator. A device that can be installed in a sink to reduce water use. Ferrite Magnets. Also called ceramic magnets. Made of strontium ferrite. High coercivity and Curie temperature. Low cost. But brittle and 4 to 5 times weaker than ND-Feb magnets. Fiberglass resin. Another two-part adhesive system. Not compatible with epoxy. Often used for making castings, since it is much cheaper than epoxy. First law, also known as the conservation of energy principle, states that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can only change forms. Flow rate refers to the quantity of fluid in motion per a unit of time. It is expressed in mass per unit time or volume per unit time. Force deformation curve, a graph with values of deformation on the abscissa and values of force on the ordinate. FPM, abbreviation for feet per minute. 1 FPM equals 0.0051 meters per second. Fracture energy, the energy required to deform a material to the point of fracture. Free electrons, electrons that are not attached to any atom. Freewheeling, a wind generator that is not connected to load, and in danger of self-destruction from overspeeding. Front angle, the angle between an element of the front cone and the plane of rotation. Furling, it is the act of a wind generator yawing out of the wind either horizontally or vertically to protect itself from high wind speeds. Furling tail, a wind generator protection mechanism where the rotor shaft axis is offset horizontally from the yaw axis, and the tail boom is both offset horizontally and hinged diagonally, thus allowing the tail to fold up and in during high winds. This causes the blades to turn out of the wind, protecting the machine. Gauge pressure is measured above existing atmospheric pressure. It is the excess of the absolute pressure over the atmospheric pressure. Galvannealed sheets are freshly galvanized sheets kept hot for a few minutes to allow the zinc to actually mix or alloy with the steel, giving the sheet a smooth, even and non-spangled appearance. Galvannealed metal does not crack nor peel regardless of how severe the conditions the sheet will be exposed to. The gauges and sizes of galvannealed sheets are similar to GI or bi sheets. Galvanized commercial quality sheet or coil, which is intended for lock seaming and other similar applications and have better formability than commercial quality. Galvanized drawing quality sheet or coil, which is intended for drawing or severe forming but excluding deep drawing. Galvanized sheets GI are steel sheets coated with a thin layer of zinc on the surface. Sizes are the same as those for black iron sheet. Galvanized sheets are used for garbage cans, funnels, gutters, roofing, air ducts, and other jobs that need to stand well against corrosive conditions. Galvanized steel sheet, galvanized flat or corrugated metal product cut to the standard or specified length and has a nominal base metal thickness ranging from 0.20 mm to 1.6 mm and a flat width of 760 mm to 1220 mm. Gauge height surveying, the vertical distance from the sight bar, batter board or receiver to the bottom of the finished cut. Gauss, a unit of magnetic induction, equal to 1 Maxwell per square centimeter. Gearing, using a mechanical system of gears or belts and pulleys to increase or decrease shaft speed. Power losses from friction are inherent in any gearing system. Ground-driven components, components which are powered by the forward or the rearward motion of equipment traveling over the ground. Grounded, connected to earth or some conducting body that serves in place of the earth. Grounded conductor, a circuit conductor which is intentionally grounded. Ground fault circuit interrupter, GFCI, a device intended for the protection of personnel that functions to de-energize a circuit or portion thereof within an established period of time when a current to ground exceeds some predetermined value that is less than that required to operate the overcurrent protective device of supply circuit. Grounding conductor, a conductor used to connect equipment or the grounded circuit of a wiring system to a grounding electrode. Grounding electrode conductor, the conductor used to connect the grounding electrode to the equipment grounding conductor and or to the grounded conductor of the circuit at the service equipment or at the source of a separately derived system. Guy anchor, attaches tower guy wires securely to the earth. Guy radius, the distance between a wind turbine tower and the guy anchors. Guy wire, a vertical axis wind turbine design. H rotor, a vertical axis wind turbine design. Hard drawn, is a temper produced in a wire, rod, or tube by cold drawing. HAWT, horizontal axis wind turbine. Heatsink, is the object or location that is at a lower temperature than the source and receives the energy from the source. Heat source, is the object or location that is at a higher temperature than objects or locations. Heat transfer, the movement of energy is heat moving from a heat source to a heat sink. Heat transfer coefficient, a proportionality constant in the heat transfer equation derived from the conditions of the fluid motion. The tube surface geometry, and other thermodynamic properties. Heat transfer fluid is any gas or liquid used by heat exchangers to transfer heat. Heavy metals, trace elements regulated because of their potential for human, plant, or animal toxicity, including cadmium, copper, chromium, mercury, nickel, lead, and zinc. Hood stress, the tensile stress in the wall of a pipe in the circumferential orientation caused by internal hydrostatic pressure. Hoop stress, the tensile stress in the wall of the pipe in the circumferential orientation due to internal hydrostatic pressure. Horizontal axis wind turbine, at normal wind turbine design, in which the shaft is parallel to the ground, and the blades are perpendicular to the ground. Hub, the center of a wind generator rotor, which holds the blades in place and attaches to the shaft. Impair, to dim or conceal, wholly or partly, a lamp or marking with some external interfering object. Indicated airspeed, the speed is indicated by the airspeed indicator of the aircraft in flight. Induction motor, an AC motor in which the rotating armature has no electrical connections to it, and consists of alternating plates of aluminum and steel. Inferential statistics is concerned with making generalizations about a larger set of data where only a part of it is examined. Izod Test is a test which a specimen support at one end as a cantilever beam is broken by the impact of falling pendulum. The energy absorbed in breaking the specimen is a measure of the impact strength. Kerf refers to the width of a cut made by a saw. Kilowatt hour, 1 kilowatt of power applied for 1 hour. Kirchhoff's law, at any junction, the algebraic sum of the currents must be zero. Also, the sum of changes in potential encountered in making a complete loop is zero. Laminations, electrical circuit core parts, found in motors, generators, alternators and transformers. When core parts are subjected to alternating electrical or magnetic fields, the buildup of eddy currents causes physical and electrical power loss. Laminations are made of thin strips of materials that make good temporary magnets and poor permanent magnets. And each strip is insulated electrically from the next. Leading edge, the edge of a blade that faces toward the direction of rotation. Lensing, covers on lamps that diffuse and color the light emitted from a source. Lens effect, also eddy current, from HFE lens in 1833. Electromotive force is induced with variations in magnetic flux. It can be demonstrated physically in many different ways, for example dragging a strong magnet over an aluminum or copper plate, or shorting the terminals of a PM alternator and rotating the shaft by hand. Laminates are used to reduce power losses from this effect. Light, visually evaluated radiant energy, with wavelengths approximately ranging between 380 and 720 nanometers. Based on the sensitivity of human eye. Live, a circuit that is carrying electricity. When live, it can shock you. Load, something physical or electrical that absorbs energy. A wind generator that is connected to a battery bank is loaded. Log mean temperature difference is a specialized average temperature difference used to determine the heat transfer rate. Long-term hydrostatic strength, the estimated tensile stress of a pipe wall in the circumferential orientation that, when applied continuously, will cause failure of the pipe at 100,000 H. Manometer, an instrument which measures the pressure of liquids and gases by fluid displacement. Modules of elasticity is the ratio of the increment of unit deformation. It is a measure of stiffness of materials. Modules of rupture is the measure of the resistance of materials to bending stresses. Modules of inertia is the sum of the products obtained by multiplying all the infinitely small areas by the square of their distances to the neutral axis. Multimeter, electric instrument designed to measure two or more electrical quantities. Multiplier, precision resistor used to extend voltage range of a meter movement. Nest of test sieves, assembled together with a lid and a receiver. Neutral surface is a horizontal plane separating the compressive and tensile stresses. Non-ferromagnesian are minerals that do not contain iron and magnesium. Examples are muscovite, feldspar, and quartz. Ohm, base unit of resistance, volt per ampere. Ohm's law, 1825 by Simon Ohm, states that the electric current flowing in a circuit varies directly with the electrical pressure and inversely with the opposition. Ohm meter, device used to measure resistance. Operating conditions, the values of temperature, flow rate, and pressure of the heat transfer fluids as they enter and leave the heat exchanger to determine the heat transfer rate for the heat exchanger. Oversize, that portion of the charge that has not passed through the apertures of a stated sieve. Plastic bending is the bending of a material beyond the elastic range of strain. Polar moment of inertia is the moment of inertia for an area relative to a line or axis perpendicular to the plane of the area. Poles, a way of picturing magnetic phenomena. All magnets are considered to be dipoles, having both a north pole and a south pole. In an alternator, generator, or motor, the number of poles is a measure of how many coils, permanent magnets or electromagnets are in the armature or stator. Primary shear surface, initial and distinct surfaces appearing during failure which are caused mainly by shear. Primary surface area. The area that contains the working heat transfer. Usually the tubes of a finned tube heat exchanger. Propeller. The spinning thing that makes an airplane move forward. Often incorrectly used to describe a wind turbine rotor. Pulse width modulation. A regulation method based on duty cycle. At full power, a pulse width modulated circuit provides electricity 100% of the time. At half power, the PWM is on half the time and off half the time. The speed of this alternation is generally very fast. Used in both solar wind regulators to efficiently provide regulation. Quality. The ratio of vapor mass to total mass of a substance at the substance's saturation temperature and pressure. Radial. An alternator design in which the armature magnets are attached to the outside circumference of a disc, with the stator coils mounted around the outside. Radius. The distance between the center of a circle and the outside. Rated power output. Used by wind generator manufacturers to provide a baseline for measuring the performance. Regulator. A device used to adjust incoming power so as to avoid overcharging a batter bank. Relative density. The standard metrification name for specific gravity. Reynolds number is a dimensionless expression used in predicting flow patterns. Root refers to the area of a blade nearest to the hub. Generally, the thickest and widest part of the blade. RPM, revolutions per minute, the number of times a shaft completes a full revolution in 1 minute. Hope it helps. Thank you again for listening. Please like, subscribe and comment your suggestion on topics you want to hear. Links of previous topics are stated in the description box below. See you in the next part. Bye. Rar.